Okay, John the Van Guy. This is a Porsche 986S 2004. I'm just replacing the upper strut, or the front strut rather, and I just go over this so that to remind me more than anybody how to put everything back properly, which I didn't do last time, and there's a few things missing. So I'll just go through it with you quickly. A previous video I've shown how to drop this, so you can do everything in situ without using spring clamps. Right, so putting everything back together, this is what this little episode is about. And let's take that off for a minute. So when you're putting things back together, you want your rubber bellows, put that on. You want your bump stop, this. Now the bump stop should go this way round. So this kind of rounded, swollen piece with the rim should go on first, so towards the bellows, and that sits nicely in there, and the bellows are not going to slip over the thing if you have it like that. And also, if you notice on the top, there's also a little space to accommodate this washer. This sits nicely on the top. It's like sort of invaginated. There's a concave piece. If you see it, look at it. That's it. That sits nicely there. So that's the correct position for that. Right. Then on top of that, you have this hat-like washer, which sits on there. Then what are you looking at? You'll be putting your spring on, and here's a spring. I bought a new spring. I thought the other one was broken, but it's not. Anyway, handy to have. They do break on these things. So we got that spring on there, and it sits nicely, pushing up against the ridge in the plate. Now what goes next, folks? Well, this is what I didn't have last time, which caused one of the problems. You need a compensating plate to go on top of the spring before you put the bearing on. Now the compensating plates, there are two of them available apparently, from what it seems, two thicknesses. One is 3.5 and one is 6. That's 6 mil or 3.5 mil. And I think that relates to the thickness of the rubber of the plate. So that plate, I've gone for two 6 mil, which I've actually bought from Heritage, and they work out about £10 each. With postage, if you want express postage, that's about another £9. So you're talking about £30. But you know, while you're at it, you might as well do it. So I've got those. I'm waiting for those. Next is your bearing. Now, because I didn't put the compensating plate on, I just put the bearing straight on the top. As a result, of course, it damaged the casing of the bearing. So this is the bearing unit. And the bearing is fine, actually. I've just put a tie around it just to hold it together a little bit better, give it a little bit of strength. So compensating place, then the bearing on top of that. And I've also bought what they call a top hat, which is that, which will sit on top, nicely, on top of the bearing, like that. On top of there. Then don't forget, you've got to put this washer, which will go upwards. So once you've got your top plate on, you'll be able to feed the top plate through the 3 holes. Now look at the top plate. It's slightly asymmetric. 2 fat mouldings there and a thinner one at the back. I didn't notice it at first, but there you go. And so you'll find that it'll only go in one position because of the asymmetry. So the thinner one goes to the back. So when you're pushing up from underneath, that will be how they're positioned. Now, so you'll actually, once you look down there, you may actually see this washer will be looking up at you. Then, of course, you will tighten the 3 nuts. And you go through the various procedures of which I'm not going to go over again, but that's in another video, of how you put everything back together and lift up this arm and loosen the actual the back bolt holding that suspension arm. But that's all in a previous video, so this is really to show you the best way of putting all this back together. And once you've got it all lined up, and before I did mark where the original top hat bolts came actually through and were bolted, but the theory is that you, once you have done all this, you go for a realignment. Okay, that's all I can think of. I'm waiting for the compensating plates to come before I can put everything back together again. But I hope that's helpful for someone. Bye.